This is Living in Alignment, and I am your host, Amy Starr Allen. On this show, I will bring you simple strategies, inspiring interviews, and my own personal insights to help you discover what it means to live your life and run a business from a place of true alignment. My goal is to help you give up the struggle and help you to see that life and business can be easy when we live and act from a place of intuition and inspiration. This and all episodes of this show can be found on my website at amystarrallen.com. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Happy New Year. Today is January 3rd, 2024. So we are just in the beginning of a fresh new year. And if you guys have been following me for any length of time, you know that this is one of my favorite times of year. I love the new year and the newness of it and the freshness of it. And so typically at this time of year, I do something to talk about different things that I do to kick off the new year and give you guys some different things that you can do to set yourself up for the new year. And so I wanted to do a podcast episode for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some of the journal prompts that I shared today. I host a call every Wednesday, the Grow Rich Mastermind, and I know I've shared about that before here on this podcast. So I'm going to be giving you access to a recording from a piece of the call that I hosted today, where I went over some journal prompts that you can use to start off your new year, which I think will be super helpful. And before I get into that, I just wanted to mention a couple of other things. So if you are new to the podcast, welcome. And just so you know, I have a couple of other episodes that I did last year at this time that also have some different journal prompts and different ways, practices that you can do to set yourself up powerfully for the new year. So I will link to those in the show notes. They're episode 46 and 47. So if you want additional journal prompts or additional things that you can do to set yourself up powerfully for the new year, feel free to go back and listen to those. They're short and sweet, just like this episode. The other thing I was just going to mention, and I spoke about this last year on one of those episodes as well, that I like to do a burning bowl ceremony at the end of the year. And I just wanted to mention that again, because I did it again this year, and it's just such a powerful practice. It's ridiculously powerful. And basically the idea, and you can do this at home, you don't have to go somewhere. I did go somewhere this year and last year, but sometimes I haven't had anywhere to go to do it, so I just do it at my house. And what it is it's just a process of writing down the things that are no longer serving you and leaving them behind so that you don't bring them into the new year with you. So you can write it down on a piece of paper and burn it. You can bury it somewhere. You can do it however you want to do it. And I spoke about it in, I believe it was episode 47, one of the ones that I just mentioned, about how that process went for me last year in a little bit more detail. But I just wanted to mention it again because I did it again this year. So just to give you guys an idea about some of the things that I'm leaving behind, I left behind in 2023. And it's a powerful, when you do a ritual like this, even if you do it at home, you can make it into a ritual with music or, whatever feels good. And it feels really good to leave this stuff behind. But one of the things that I loved about the service that I went to this year was at this place called Spiritual Soul Center that I go to, every weekend. I'm actually on the board for Spiritual Soul Center. I love this place. It's a non-denominational community of just spiritual people. And Reverend Paula is the woman who kind of heads it and leads the services, and she's incredible. And one of the things that she was talking about as we were getting ready to do our ritual of, writing everything down, and then, we had the amazing music, live music, and then, everybody kind of gets in a line during the music, row by row, everybody gets up and goes outside to the fire and burns their paper in the fire. So one of the things that she was saying that is just really important to keep in mind when you're doing something like this is that the burning of the paper is only a material manifestation of, a representation of what we're letting go of, right? It's not doing the work for us. In order for us to actually let go of anything, we have to be ready and willing to actually let go of it. And the ritual part of it makes it super powerful. It makes it real. Like when I walked out there and put my paper in the fire this time, it was really interesting too, because it sat right on top of the fire. It was a strip of paper, and it sat right on top of the fire. And the fire was like, the flames were kind of around the outside of it, but the paper was still sitting there. And then I just said, burn. And it just, the whole thing all at once just went up in flames. It was so cool. And then I cried, because it was just like a release. But if I wasn't really ready to let those things go, then it wouldn't have been such a powerful release or a powerful process for me, right? So regardless of how you do it, the actual ritual of it, it's important to make it feel real for you. But the most important thing is that you have to be like really like done with these things that you've been carrying with you, and know that you don't have to take them with you any longer, and to really, commit to yourself that you're actually done. And then when you light them on fire, it's a much different feeling than just writing some things on a piece of paper and lighting it on fire. Do you see what I mean? I'll share with you what I wrote on my paper. Obviously I burned it, but I took a picture of it beforehand. So some of the things that I let go of were powerlessness, inauthentic fear, smallness, negative self-talk, and constant sadness. So those were my things. I just want to be done with those. I'm done with those. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because that's a great New Year's Eve practice. And like I said, I've been doing that for about 20 years, I would say. And on the years where I didn't have somewhere to go to do it, I would just do it at my house and either, burn it in my fire pit or tear it up and bury it in the ground. There's so many different ways that you can do it, but I've always found it to be a very powerful way to end the year. I usually do it on New Year's Eve. I always do it on New Year's Eve, actually. And that way I'm starting the year without that stuff, right? Okay, so now we're moving into the new year. And I actually just got a text from this woman who I get texts from every day. She's an intuition master, basically. And she does these incredible text messages every day that, she sends out a message every day to remind you about how powerful your intuition is, basically. And if you know me at all, you know that intuition is my life. It's how I live my life. And I love her reminders. Her name is Ashley Easter, if anybody's interested in looking her up. But so today's message, it says, before you jump into the new year full force, remind yourself of 5 things you are proud of accomplishing from the last year, big or small. And I think this is such a powerful message because I think we skip over this part a lot. And if you go back and listen to those other episodes that I just mentioned that I recorded last year, I talk about this as well. Like, I do believe that we really skip over. We want to create a new version of ourselves moving into the new year, new you, and all that. And we don't give ourselves enough credit for the things that we've accomplished, the hurdles we've overcome, and even just the warrior that we are. I look back over the last year, and was it the best year of my life? No, it was probably the hardest year of my life. But I survived it, right? I got through every one of the challenges, and I'm still standing, and I'm, I still have sadness and grief and different things that have, came up over this year. But I worked through it, and I'm still here. And we need to give ourselves credit for that. I really, really think that this is such an important thing that gets overlooked so much because we're so anxious to just move into the new year and start making powerful resolutions and creating, making powerful promises to ourselves without really giving ourselves credit for who we are, how strong we are, how powerful we are, and all the things that we've accomplished in the last year. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Okay, so now I'm going to just share with you the recording from the call from this morning, and that will give you some journal prompts to, I call it reflections and projections, a few different prompts to help you kind of look back at some of your best decisions over the year and who you want to be at this time next year and so forth. So I hope you enjoy this recording of this call, and happy New Year. I'm so proud of you. If you're listening to this, just know that I'm so proud of you, and I'm so grateful to have you as part of my community and part of my audience. And it's not something that I take lightly. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And without further ado, here's the recording from today's call. A few questions to start off the new year. I love this time of year. I know you guys have heard me talk about this before, but I love this time of year because it always feels like a blank slate, a chance to start again, a chance to look back over the last year and see what worked and what I wish I would have done differently, or what I regret not doing that maybe I want to do this year. And so there are a few questions that I like to ask either at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year. And you guys know I love to journal. So I do this in my journal, but this is also a great exercise that you can do with your spouse or your partner or a friend over a conversation, over coffee. You can do this anytime, but the new year is just a powerful time to do it. It's the time of year I personally do the most reflecting, so I love doing it at this time of year. So anyway, these are just a few questions, our journal prompts if you like to journal, to help you figure out what you actually want in the new year. Okay, so the first one is, where do I want to be on this day next year? Another way to look at that or ask that, you could actually ask it both ways if you're journaling about it, is who do I want to be on this day next year? So looking at the finish line and starting with the end in mind, like knowing where you want to end up, will help you figure out what steps you need to take to get there. Do you have a vision for where you want to be and how you want to show up? So if you're writing in your journal at this time next year, or having coffee with a friend or your spouse again a year from today, what do you want to be true? What are the things you're going to be most proud of? What are the stories that you're going to tell? And don't feel like whatever it is that you state is written in stone. I think this stops a lot of us is, we think we have to get it right when it comes to our vision. But your vision might shift and change as the year goes by. It's likely going to shift and change as the year progresses. And that's okay. It's just good to have a direction to head in starting today. And you don't have to get it perfect. That's not how it works, right? We never know exactly how things are going to play out, right? You just need a place to start with the person that you are today. Because you're not going to be that person anymore in 6 months from now or a year from now. You're going to be growing and evolving yourself. So give yourself space to let your vision grow and evolve with you. So this is not a resolution. This is a vision of the year. And it has life attached to it. It's not something that will fade in a few weeks like resolutions sometimes do. It's very different than a resolution. And when you see the version of yourself that you want to be a year from now, like the healthier version or the wealthier version or whatever it is for you, you can ask, what must be true in order for me to be that version of myself? What must be true? And this is what will guide the decisions that you make on a daily basis. So that's the first question. Just a side note too, that, and I think you guys know this, but if you're doing this with someone else, make sure it's someone that will add energy to your vision, not someone that will tell you that it's never going to happen or someone that won't be supportive of it. So if you don't have someone positive enough in your life to do it with, just do it in your journal. I actually prefer doing it in my journal. It's kind of a personal thing for me, but I know it's super powerful to do it with somebody as well, and to speak it into existence with your spouse and so forth. Just make sure you're doing it with someone that'll be supportive of your dreams and your vision. Okay, so the second question is, when you look back over the last 12 months, what was the best decision that you made? And it can be anything at all. It's just really important to acknowledge the things that were good, the smart things that you did, the good choices that you made. This is a great way to give yourself credit and to remember that you do make good choices and that you do know what you're doing and that you do know how to navigate powerfully through your life. We do a lot of great things in our lives that we never give ourselves credit for. Or we say, I should be doing XYZ, and that doesn't serve us, right? But acknowledging your good decisions is a powerful and very positive practice. And I promise you that every single person on this call at some point in the last 12 months has made some very powerful decisions that changed your life for the better. So it's important to acknowledge those, and that will help you also to know what kinds of decisions you want to make more of in the coming year. So when I looked at this question, I'll just give you an example from mine. What came up for me was that the most decision I made last year, well, there were two that really jumped out at me. One was to hire a boxing coach and start training with him. And the second one was to finally do plant medicine and take my healing to another level. And this decision was something that I had been thinking about for years. Like, I had a lot of fear around it. I second guessed myself about it a lot. And I can honestly say that it's the thing that benefited my life the most in 2023. So based on that knowing, I'm planning some other retreats with plant medicine this year, and I'm not doubting myself about it anymore. I already have some stuff on the calendar, because when I made that decision last year, I see that it was one of the best decisions that I made for, myself in my life. So when we look at decisions this way, it's a good reminder for us to follow our hearts and that we do know what's best. We all have the ability to know what's best. So the decisions that you're looking at, when you're asking yourself this question, they can be business related, they can be health related, mindset related, anything. What was the best decision you made in 2023? And this question in and of itself is going to give you a lot of great information to work with in the new year. And like I said, it'll help you become more confident in trusting your heart and in trusting your decisions. All right, so that's the second question. The third one is, knowing what you know now, what do you wish you hadn't done in the last 12 months? So remember, whatever it is, whatever that thing is for you, when you made that decision, you were doing the best you could with the knowing that you had at that time. And now you know more. So with the knowing that you now have, what would you have done differently? Maybe it has to do with a relationship or your business or a community that you're involved with or whatever, right? Would you choose it again knowing what you know now? So it's not wishing it didn't happen, because everything that happens brings us to where we are now, right? So it's not about taking it back or about having regrets. It's about looking at, if you had the opportunity again with all of the information that you now have, would you choose it again? Would you make that decision again? Or would you do that thing again? And this will help you to see what you may need to let go of in order to get where you want to be, or what is no longer serving you. You can also, during this process, when you're looking at, what you wish you hadn't done, you can also really acknowledge the hard things that you went through based on some of the mistakes that you made last year and how they helped you to grow and led you to where you are now. When I look at my answer to this question, which is personal, so I'm not going to share it here, but it's really helpful for me to help me avoid making a similar mistake in the coming year, right? So I find it super helpful to reflect on this as well. Okay, and then another thing, I guess this could be a fourth question, would be to go back to the first question and ask it again in another way. Like, now ask it again as if like you have a magic wand and anything is possible. And ask that first question again, where do I want to be on this day next year? Without any of the limitations that maybe you answered it with the first time. So, go back and ask that question again, and you might, be able to aim a little bit higher and go into the year in a more expansive way than you were allowing yourself to the first time you went through it. So I would definitely, do a little bit of journaling around that as well. Another thing that is fun to do is a resolution. So this isn't a question, but like, make a resolution just for fun. a lot of times the resolutions that we make are like, I need to give up something that I love that's not good for me, or I need to, change some bad habit or whatever. But what if you could just have a resolution for fun? Like, I want to go to as many new coffee shops as possible this year, or I want to try as many different kinds of mac and cheese as I can this year, or whatever, 100 kinds. Or, something just straight up fun, just for fun. Like, I want to learn to scuba dive, or I want to learn how to play the fiddle this year. For me, I love ceviche. So maybe, let's say I want to try ceviche at least 30 different restaurants this year. Like, that would be a really fun little resolution or goal to set for myself, right? And you can just set a fun little goal for yourself, because why not, right? Life is supposed to be fun, and I think we take it much too seriously a lot of the time. We all do it. So you can find something fun you can set a goal around and just have fun with it. And, life is always going to be full of challenges. That's what life is. We can count on it. And the fun stuff will just make the hard stuff more bearable and more fun. I also want to share something real quick with you from Michael Franti. You guys know how much I love Michael Franti. I love his music, but I also love so much more than that about him. He's a beacon of light in the world and a role model for me. Remember how Minister Christian was talking yesterday about how you can have all different types of mentors and role models and influences in your life. Well, Michael Franti is one of those people for me. So I just wanted to share a recent post that he did, because I think it does such a good job of demonstrating what it looks like to have like a personal motto, or in his case, a family motto that you can live into on a daily basis. So this is what he wrote. Be, serve, rock is inscribed inside of our wedding rings. It's short for be your best, serve the greater good, and rock out wherever you are. It's our family motto. Be your best is different than be the best. It means be the best you can be, not try to be better than others. Rather, it means be your own unique self and find a way to get to your growing edge each day. Try something new, learn something, or see something that you've taken for granted in a new light. Improve 1% each day. Serve the greater good means take all of the talents, skills, passion, and resources that you were born with or that you have developed in life and apply them to something which is greater than yourself. Rock out wherever you are means just what it says. Approach each day with enthusiasm, playfulness, emotional openness, and passion that you experienced when you went to your first concert. Find time every day to dance and be grateful for the creativity and togetherness we see created in the world each day, especially on days when it's hard to find. Everything that we do together, whether it's as parents or as a couple or as business partners, we try to apply these words to. Some days we nail it, some days we fail it, but it's always our North Star, and it keeps us going through all of our greatest challenges and celebrations. So that's what he wrote, and I love that. And it's a chance for each of us to think about, like, what is our North Star, so that we can be living into it each day during our own challenges and celebrations, and making sure that we're staying on track with whatever our own personal motto is, or our own family motto. So anyway, just a reminder that this life is what you make it. This is your path. This is your journey. It's nobody else's. It's just yours. And this is your year too. So you can make it whatever you want to be. All right. That was a call. I hope you liked it. This will conclude this episode. Again, if you want to go back and listen to a couple of my New Year's messages from last year, they are still relevant. They are just additional journal prompts and some things that you can use to move into the new year powerfully. Again, that's episode 46 and episode 47, and I will link to those in the show notes. So this will conclude this episode. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please share it with your friends and your followers on social media. I would also love it if you would subscribe to the show and leave a review. Also, be sure and pick up my free guide that contains 4 key mindset shifts that will help you get into alignment. It also comes with 20 daily affirmations to elevate your mind and your business. You can pick that up right now on my website at amystarallen.com.